Hi, this video about my book. So yeah, I give some introduction to my book and to explain what is the situation. So you know that this project about aging, stop aging and to start rejuvenation, it was my personal project because I'm quite desperate about to extend the lifespan, and I am quite experienced scientist. I worked on very complicated problems before, and I got a solution. This was technical problems, and but I managed some project which many people, dozens and dozens, very experienced scientists work on them, and I got the solution. So unfortunately, that commercializing this solution was not so successful. People don't take it. There are reasons for this because our civilization goes in very special times, and it is actually technical process is technical progress is already actually stopped. We are coming to very special time, and in 2 years and maybe shorter, we are coming to really hard times, and this will take maybe 9 years, and during this time population, I believe, will cut much, maybe half, maybe even 90%, because this just you can see how the difficulties are increasing, how this all this hysteria is growing, and everything is collapsing, and food production is under danger. So we are really coming to some famine, artificial famine, and disruption of all the technological processes. And then this is also a good motivation for me to survive, and then to get younger, to get stronger is the goal, my goal. So this, as I said, it is third part of the introduction to my book, and then it is just to give you some idea about the book and decide. Maybe you will make pre-order, and if I will get enough pre-orders, I will go to translate it, because again situation is such that people are more concerned about the survival, not the rejuvenation, but the survival and health. It is a part of survival. So it's okay. So again, look, just to give you the idea what it is my book. I have more than 60 chapters. It is quite a lot. I made this book in Russian because I want to summarize and to get some order of knowledge, because previously I worked in physics and chemistry and mechanics, and now I changed about 2 years ago to biology and started this project, and maybe only 8 months, 10 months I work hard and invest all my time in it. But again, I'm just coming to little bit end of the project, because I got the idea what I should do, and just I do what I learned, and I believe I have already solution problem with situations that, so you see, it is altogether, it is about 60, more than 60 chapters, and this what I presented is some kind of draft book, but it has links to videos and presentations, so it is a lot of material, and so it's a lot of material, a lot of research, what was done, and of course I can summarize it in a very short, relatively short information, and so it is just show you how I worked. And I worked as a scientist. I always do science. So first I make review of existing literature, getting very deep into this research, and then I draw some conclusions and propose some ideas what to do. And again, a situation is so why I believe that I can have success, and I will succeed in it, because first I have experience to work on very complicated problems and to get a solution of the problems. And I am also in such situations that I am desperate. It is question of life and death. I am 64 years old. If I will not, pardon me, rejuvenate my body, then I cannot live long. Some of my fellows graduated the same university already dead. The reason was different. I mean, previously it was maybe not so good health, but also this vaccination took some of my friends. And I explain how to, why, and so, and then anybody interested to survive like me can be interested to support my project. So if I will get enough support to translate this book, this translation will be available. If not, okay, you just for a few months I will keep the videos on. I believe that so I see the increasing pressure from YouTube and other social media on me. So I don't think that this information will survive for long. But those who support me will get connection, will get links, and I will put this information somewhere to other platform, maybe to some website, so that it will be available, not only from YouTube, but from other sources, other websites. And then again, it's question: are you interested or not? So you see that recently I stopped making English translation of my videos because again not so many people support me, and not so many people, Russians at least, contribute to my support. But support from foreigners is not so pronounced. I don't see much support. Maybe only one. I got actually one contributor, one person who supported me a lot. I am very grateful, and I will give him not only just advice and the links to translation and to the original Russian book, but also I provide him with some remedies which will hopefully help him. So this is my way. So those people who support me much, I mean enough, they will get more care from me. Okay, then because everything should be compensated. If my labor, my time is not valuable for you, then okay, then it's up to you. It's not my problem. It's not my problem. My problem was to survive myself, and as I said, we are coming to very, very difficult times, and then the question of good health is question to survive during these times. Okay, then this is the third part. So altogether 5 parts of the introduction. I made 5 videos in Russian about introduction. This is the third part, translation of the Russian version to English. Let's talk about this a little bit. So, and if you want to support me, in the description there will be links and my contacts, so you can do it. Okay, then again, translation. Why we're aging? Okay, let me talk about what evolutionary changes in the body of many mammals have occurred in the past, which led to aging. Indeed, some marine mammals and large predatory fish live much longer than humans and do not suffer from senile degeneration of the body. For example, big whales do not die from predators, but starve to death when they grow too large to provide food for themselves. And also large predatory fish, grouper, in Florida, for example, and also Red Sea, also don't age, but with time they grow so large that they cannot longer hunt for crabs and mollusks. And in Florida, in 80s, the fishing of these big groupers was abandoned and was prohibited. And now we have groupers who are older than 35, 37 years old, and they just grow older, bigger and bigger. and don't show any sign of the senile degeneration. So they can live very long. As long as they have enough food, they will live. And there is no sign of degeneration of the body, as I said. So it's again my opinion, and I try to tell you why we're aging, what is the mechanism. Aging in humans and in many mammals is a byproduct, is a consequence of the evolutionary adaptation in circumstances of frequent injury from encounters with predatory animals and in skirmishes, so in fighting with members of the same species, because humans were very aggressive in past, and they were killing each other and fighting in wars and some collisions of tribes. So it was very, very important to develop such evolutionary adaptation that to heal wounds quickly. So many mammals have developed the ability not to bleed to death after being wounded and to heal wounds relatively quickly. This is ensured by the high elasticity of the capillary walls, which in the event of an injury and a local drop in blood pressure contract and reduce blood flow. Then the wound can be closed with a blood clot, and in response to trauma, so-called mast cells begin to produce pro-inflammatory histamine molecules, and this is also with special cells in the skin, fibroblasts get activated with this histamine, with inflammation of the tissue, and fibroblasts begin to produce collagen fibers to close the wound. Our skin has such a structure that below the outer layer of the epidermal cells there is a soft permeable layer in which blood capillaries and a supporting frame of collagen and elastin fibers are located. This supporting frame of the fibers is called the extracellular matrix, ECM. This extracellular matrix accounts for up to 80% of the total tissue volume, and only 20% are to cells. And in this permeable layer of the extracellular matrix, phagocytes and stem cells can migrate. Again, what I see in the research in this area of rejuvenation and slowing down aging, that people just it looks like they have no ability to think logically. I'm a professional scientist. I see it clearly. If our body 80% of extracellular matrix and 20% to cell, then I have to be focused especially on extracellular matrix, of the aging of the extracellular matrix. But meanwhile, all efforts of the scientists who supported officially by universities and some other donors, they focus their efforts in the rejuvenation of cells, but it is absolutely crazy, because we are not just cells. Any cell can be replaced by stem cells. We developed from single cell, and we can recover, we can grow again from quite small number of cells. So it is not a problem. The senile degeneration of cells, it is happening, but it is related to extracellular matrix. Yeah. Okay, then phagocytes are supposed to remove debris and dead cells, while stem cells are to replace the dead and damaged cells of the epidermis in case of trauma. And when the collagen fibers produced by the fibroblasts, they close the wound, and the extracellular matrix stiffness increases in the inflamed area of the tissue. Okay, so this is what is happening. It is adaptation, in the adaptation of our body. So that fibers are produced, and these fibers in great numbers, they increase stiffness of the extracellular matrix locally. Yeah? In response to the local increase in the extracellular matrix stiffness, some healthy fibroblasts first go to a dormant mode, they sleep, then collagen production stops. So when in this mode no collagen production works, but then in a while, it's about a few days, then they go to a special mode of zombie or senescent cells. And zombie cells are different in size and in how they work. Zombie cells are larger than normal ones, and they have a large nucleus and the vacuoles full of fat, and metabolism works different. They get energy mostly from burning glucose in the cytoplasm, not burning in oxygen, but to transformation of the glucose to lactic acid. This is how they get the energy. And what is interesting, zombie cells, they need this NAD plus molecules, because to produce proteins they need a lot of this NAD. I was talking about this. Okay, just let's go a little bit more and I will explain again. The role of zombie cells is to produce and to release the extracellular matrix pro-inflammatory signaling molecules, this SASP, senescent associated secretory phenotype. So these signal molecules, they attract immune cells, other immune cells, and increase local inflammation. That is to dilate capillaries further, to bring more this immune cells, and also to get more oxygen and more some nutrients. And with high concentration of these signaling molecules, more of the dormant fibroblasts get transformed to zombie cells. So this is how it works. So the number of zombie cells locally in concentration of the pro-inflammatory molecules, this SASP, is getting increasing further. Otherwise, it will be too much collagen produced, and the large scars will appear in the location of the wound. So it is a mechanism to first to accelerate the production of collagen and then to stop it. So in turn, phagocytes and primary macrophages migrate to inflamed tissue, degrade dead cells, as well as part of the excessive collagen. This works, okay, is it not too much collagen, so they eat the collagen, and they degrade it to amino acids and to fatty acids, and then these nutrients are used by stem cells, and stem cells use this product to proliferate and to repair the skin and underlying tissue. Also, macrophages eliminate zombie cells. As a result, total number of zombie cells gets gradually smaller, and level of signaling pro-inflammatory molecules SASP drops down, and local inflammation of the skin gets reduced, and the wound healing process comes to a successful completion. So this is what we see. Again, I mentioned already before that zombie cells are very different from healthy cells. They use glucose, converting it to lactic acid, and why they do it? Because they produce a lot of these proteins. Signaling molecules are special proteins, and they are hyperactive to produce these signaling molecules. So they need a very high amount of NAD plus, yes, NAD plus, and then with this mechanism they are really active. But what is interesting, this David Sinclair, you know, multimillionaire, who got the idea and spreading information that people have to take some additives and some supplements to increase the production of NAD plus. But what it makes? It accelerates aging. It accelerates aging because it provides to zombie cells more this opportunity to produce more pro-inflammatory cells, pro-inflammatory molecules, pardon me, SASP. So aging is accelerated. If you take this expensive nicotine mononucleotide, then or nicotine amide riboside, then you're not getting younger, you're getting older and with acceleration. But people buy it because they trust him. He is a Harvard professor, but Harvard University never care about your health. Look what they propose. Again, I was talking about this. They push agenda to cut consumption of meat, to replace it with vegetable oils and other plant-based food. And this is all not healthy, because this is the elite, highest elite of the society, and trust me, they are not interested to help you, to help commoners. Meanwhile, my purpose is to make it cheap and to make it reasonable. I am scientist. I am not corrupted with this agenda. Nobody pays me for spreading this shit information, and then I am telling the truth because I am interested in it. It is my personal program. I'm not interested to keep to make people sick, and myself including, and so I do it properly. So, and despite my project is started not so long ago, I see some quite positive changes, so it works. Okay, then as we may see, it is the transition of some fibroblasts into hyperactive zombie cells as a reaction to a local increase in the extracellular matrix stiffness makes it possible to accelerate wound healing. Okay, so this is how the mechanism. It is to close the wound quickly. Then this transition of healthy cells to zombie cells is the way to do it. Yes, and this makes possible to accelerate wound healing. And problem is that an increase in the extracellular matrix also occurs with age, not only with under trauma, but with age. Why it is increasing? Because destruction of elastin fibers, replacement of elastin with collagen. Collagen is much stiffer than elastin. And then next step, it is cross-linking of the collagen fibers by sugar molecules in tissues. So it is so-called glycation. And glycation reactions occur slowly, but the danger of this process is that above some level of the extracellular matrix stiffness, healthy cells spontaneously get converted to zombie cells, and then migration of the phagocytes in stiffening extracellular matrix gets more and more difficult, so they're not eliminated. Therefore, number of the hyperactive zombie cells increases with age, which leads to chronic inflammation of the body tissues. And in scientific literature, there is a term inflammagen, that is a chronic inflammation related to aging. Quickly growing number of the zombie cells in the stiff extracellular matrix eventually leads to body degeneration and death due to self-poisoning by this this senescent associated secretive phenotype, by this signal molecules. Yeah, this is why we age quick. Okay, this was adaptation, evolutionary adaptation of our body. But what is interesting? In the naked mole rats, these mammals from East Africa, the stiffness of the extracellular matrix and in particular of the skin also increases with age, because this glycation reaction goes, whatever they go. But the transition of healthy cells to the zombie state with the release of signaling pro-inflammatory molecules, SAP, in response to the increase of the stiffness of the extracellular matrix does not occur. So they work different. Yeah, why? Okay, again, the senescent cells just stay dormant and do nothing, and therefore these creatures live about 10-20 times longer than other rodents of the comparable size. Unlike other rodents, snake mole rats live in tunnels deep underground. They rarely come to the surface. In particular, do not meet predators. That is, they do not get injured, and they are quite friendly with each other. They don't even fight with each other. So therefore, they have not received this evolutionary advantage of rapid wound healing, and then evolution worked for them differently. Rapid wound healing and the ability of healthy fibroblast cells to transform to these hyperactive zombie cells with the release of SASP as a reaction to the extracellular matrix stiffening was not so important. I mean, it was important for survival of many mammals, but the side effect is this aging did not result in evolutionary culling out of individuals for these naked mole rats. They can live long, they have skin very, very old, very stiff. You see it is, looks like they are really, really very old, and they are very old. Stiffness of the skin is very high, but yet they live much longer because there is no this self-poisoning of the body. They live 40 years or more, longer than 40 years, while some mice lives 2 years and not long. Okay, this is adaptation. You have to understand why, the mechanism, and if you understand mechanism, then you can understand where to focus your efforts to slow down aging, and then even to reverse it. Yeah, this is what I'm doing. But other people have just stay blind. It is absolutely funny for me, but because again, I am a scientist, I can think logically, and I proven it by working in technical area. In technical area, you can make experiments and relatively quick, and then you see result. You're checking ideas quick, and then you develop this ability to look for truth. But in biological area, experiments are so long that it looks like people do not develop such abilities. They are just pretending, or not pretending. They work hard, but they just don't understand how to do science. So, okay, rapid wound healing and the ability of healthy cells to transition into zombie state with increase in the extracellular matrix stiffness were so important for our survival of many mammals that the side effect, the explosive accumulation of zombie cells in old age, senile degeneration and self-poisoning of the body did not become factors of evolutionary culling of individuals. Because again, if you're fighting and if you're war, you have high probability to die young. So, but again, to survive this quick wound healing is so important that it developed relatively quick, in few generations only. We got it. And the same about most of the mammals. So again, thus the reason for the aging of the human body is an increase in the number of so-called zombie cells, yes, but the very transition of the healthy cells in the zombie state is the result of an increase in the stiffness of the extracellular matrix. The number of zombie cells can increase not only due to increase of the stiffness of the extracellular matrix, but also under influence of certain drugs. Yeah? For example, under chemotherapy, some of the cancer cells do not die, but become zombie cells with a high activity, hyperactivity in secreting pro-inflammatory signal molecules. At the same time, under influence of the chemotherapy drugs, the activity of the immune system is suppressed. As a result, the number of zombie cells increases and does not decrease. So immune system doesn't work, doesn't kill the zombie cells. Despite the extracellular matrix is not stiff, it is permeable, but just immune system doesn't work. Okay, so number of zombie cells increases and then what is happening? Progressive tissue inflammation. And in 30-year-old patients, after undergoing the course of survivals of this chemotherapy, the level of senile degradation of the body, this inflammation, yeah, develops, which corresponds to the age of about 60 years old people. Therefore, after such treatment, curing, yeah, there is no, it's again, it is, so the people, this survival of cancer treatment, they don't live long. This is just suffering. It is like you are jumping, when you are 30 years old, you are jumping to age 60, and then you have few years of suffering before you will die. Again, I just wondering about this, all this medical care. It is clearly to me that the goal of the medical care is to suck money from people. Not to cure the diseases, not to help, not to improve health, but to just get money. This is a capitalistic system to get the maximum profit. So I never trust physicians. So I'm a physicist, not physician. So I think myself, and it is so much better. So our life expectancy is limited by the natural process of increasing of the stiffness of the extracellular matrix and the development of the tissue fibrosis, because again in some tissues under this high level of SASP the tissue fibrosis develops, and development of fibrosis and the loss of elasticity of lungs and kidney are especially dangerous. It is deadly. An increase in the stiffness of the extracellular matrix is due to the destruction of elastin protein fibers first, but then replacement with collagen fibers and reaction of glycation. So it is a reaction of collagen with sugar molecules. And such reactions occur slowly, but the danger of this process, again, that we are getting the stiffness of the matrix is increasing everywhere in all tissues, and it goes the same way like local injury, local wound, but it is again it goes to the step that some healthy cells get into the zombie state, and then all this aging process develops and leads to body self-poisoning and eventually death. Okay, let's consider this glycation and oxidation of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Standard diet of the present day leads to premature aging. Indeed, the standard diet is based on the use of carbohydrates as the main source of energy. The consumption of carbohydrates leads to spikes in blood glucose and insulin levels, and it is this peaks concentration of glucose in the blood that provide cross-linking of collagen fibers by the glycation reaction. Again, if you consume so much of these carbohydrates and your level of glucose stays high, level of insulin stays high, then this reaction of glycation goes quick, and this is how it goes. So it is actually easy, relatively easy to reduce the rate of glycation. Why? How? People just can switch to the ketogenic diet, that is to use fat as the main source of energy, but not vegetable oils. The problem with vegetable oils, and these oils from plant seeds, they contain toxins and so-called polyunsaturated fatty acids. And problem with polyunsaturated fatty acids that they get embedded into the cell membranes, and under influence of reactive oxygen species, and in particular hydrogen peroxide, they turn into toxic substances, and these toxins accumulate inside cells as debris. In time they lead to apoptosis of the cells, that cells death. But worse with these toxins and the so-called they called collectively lipofuscins, these lipoproteins, where lipids are oxidated, they already got reaction with reactive oxygen species, and then they cannot be eaten, they cannot be digested by macrophages. So macrophages are coming to clean tissues from debris and dead cells. But if the lipofuscin gets accumulated in the lysosomes of the macrophages, these lysosomes are digestive organs of the cells of the macrophages, they turn into so-called foam cells and also die. What is happening? These macrophages, they accumulate these lipofuscins in some vacuoles, in some vessels, inside the cell, and they're growing this vacuole. The amount of lipofuscin is growing more and more, and they're losing ability to digest the proteins and other fat. And again, accumulation of then eventually they die, and the accumulation of these dead cells and macrophages in the arteries leads to atherosclerosis, for example, in particular, because macrophages, again, when they die, they release also SASP. They also kind of, when they get into this foam cells, they behave like zombie cells. They release this inflammation, pro-inflammation signal molecules to attract another immune cells, another immune cells, because it is just a signal of alarm signal, please come clean, we have here big problem, and other macrophages come in and cannot clean it, but accumulate, they die and accumulate, and we are getting atherosclerosis. Okay, then this just to remind you how it works. So imagine this is a cell of macrophage, and they have some lipofuscin in the extracellular matrix from dead cells. They try to digest it, to split it, to digest it, and to convert it to the fatty acids. And how normally it works, so that this lysosome get merged with the fat, with the fat, and then disintegrate these products, and then release it to the matrix, so that the stem cells will use this as energy, as a nutrients. But if they cannot digest it, it accumulates inside, and they are just growing in the size, and then eventually die. And this is some kind of plaque, which is actually abnormal accumulation of material in the inner layer of the artery walls. Again, it is so much, it makes me sick, that explanation that atherosclerosis, it is from fat molecules that are sticking to the inside of the blood vessels. It is absolutely not so, absolutely not so. It is, why not it is sticking? Because the inside of the blood vessels is protected by a layer of glycocalyx. Glycocalyx repel the fat, repel the lipoproteins and other blood vessels, blood cells. It repels, so it is impossible to stick to the inside. But in small vessels, when the blood flow is very slow and glycocalyx layer is damaged because of high insulin and high glucose level, and then this lipoproteins of low with PUFA, with polyunsaturated fatty acids, oxidized polyunsaturated fatty acids, they can stick to the membrane of the endothelium layer. I was explaining it a bit. So this is mechanism how this plaque is appears. I was explaining in another video, and then because it is sticky, the endothelium, if endothelium layer is damaged and glycocalyx is destroyed, then we have accumulation of this lipoproteins of low density. Not because this lipoprotein of low density is dangerous, but because of the glucose layer. And then with accumulation, it is coming inflammation, and as a signal to inflammation, these macrophages are coming, trying to help, doesn't work, getting accumulated more and more, and eventually we have this accumulation of fat inside. And this picture shows a little bit better. You see that the fat, yellow color, accumulates not on the inside of the large arteries, but inside the wall, inside. Okay, there are some small blood vessels, and then plaque is growing inside, but eventually it can get so large that it is just get to the bloodstream, and then you have complications like thrombosis. I cannot find good picture. Again, the misunderstanding of the mechanism of the atherosclerosis is so huge in the official medical science that I'm just wondering, can these people think logically? But okay, at least some idea. Okay, at least some idea. Okay, we have a layer of endothelium here, and again, if endothelium layer is damaged, if it is damaged, then in small arteries, in small blood vessels, then the fat can accumulate inside the small arteries inside, and then inflammation goes, and then these macrophages, yeah, immune cells are coming to clean the problem, but instead they get converted to foam cells, and then eventually they die, and with the release of all this junk and accumulate, and eventually it leads to fibrosis. Okay, then it is a little bit different from why it should be, how it should be, because again, medical care is not about science, it is about making money. So all the explanation is, all the pictures are wrong. But to some extent, if you understand that all the mechanism, you understand what to do, okay? So, okay, let's go to mechanism for increasing the extracellular matrix stiffness. First of all, we have to understand why and how the extracellular matrix and tissues are stiffening in time. As I mentioned, just again and again, the first stage is the destruction of elastin fibers and their replacement with collagen fibers. This is stage number 1. Elastin fibers are synthesized only in infancy and early childhood, not in adults. And since collagen is about 100 times stiffer than elastin, this replacement results in slow increase in stiffness. The next stage is cross-linking of collagen fibers with sugar molecules in the reaction of glycation. And again, the stem cells and progenitor cells, they have to replace the damaged cells. And what is interesting, if the stiffness is increasing, stem cells and progenitor cells, they don't have any brain, they have no eyes, they just checking stiffness of the tissue and decide what they should do. So they get for example, in the bone tissue, stem cells turn into bone cells and begin to accumulate calcium phosphate. Yeah, bones are bones with calcium phosphate. But if the walls of the large arteries become so stiff, then the stem cells in the tissues turn into bone cells. So if artery already, aorta and other large arteries are already stiff, then the stem cells, they think, oh, we are in bones, let's make calcium phosphate, accumulate calcium phosphate. And then calcium phosphate accumulate in the wall of the arteries, and gradually the large arteries turn into rigid bone tubes. Yeah? The role of elastic arteries is to smoothen out the pulsation of the blood pressure. Otherwise, blood pressure rises with increasing risk of rupture of capillaries in the brain and heart, and the likelihood of death from stroke or the rupture of these capillaries in heart is increasing, and this is the leading cause of the death in old age. And what is again that with increased level of glucose and insulin in the blood, neurodegenerative disorders develop, which are not without reason called type 3 diabetes mellitus. Insulin molecules, what is happening? If you have high insulin level in blood, insulin molecules can assemble into amyloid plaques. They get converted and they get they stick to each other, and they bind to the insulin receptor in brain cells and block them, and block the receptor. So they are disrupting glucose metabolism in the brain. So even at high concentration of glucose in blood, brain cells just cannot use it. So the sensitivity of cells to insulin decreases. They starve and die even with high concentration of glucose in the blood. And the accumulation of this amyloid B and tau proteins in the brain is a consequence of the diet. First, this insulin creates this amyloid-like plaques, and then after this other proteins gets involved, and this is the consequence of the diet, where glucose is the main source of energy for the brain. And even in Alzheimer patients, cognitive performance improves when you switch to ketogenic diet. So ketogenic is our natural diet. We developed to humans because we consumed fat, animal fat. So if you build your metabolysis on the animal fat or saturated fat like coconut oil, it works perfect. But meanwhile, again, the role of glucose, again, that with increased level of glucose and insulin in the blood, neurodegenerative disorders develop, which are not without reason. I don't know. Okay, I just repeated. Sorry. Also, I was explaining in my video about endothelium and glycalyx, that I explained that the protecting layer of glycalyx on the inside of the blood vessels will be destroyed at high level of insulin and glucose in blood, and therefore blood cells may stick to the vessels inside and produce a thromb. Especially after vaccination, when so-called spike protein get attached to the membranes of the endothelium layer, they mark it as infected cells, and then our immune system attack and destroy these cells because they consider this as infected cells. They destroy it, and with the destroyed endothelium layer, the thrombosis develops, and it may lead to blockage of the capillaries in the heart and brains with deadly consequences. This is how it works. This is actually why we have so large number of deaths after vaccination, and for people who already have diabetes and also have a very high level of insulin and blood in glucose in blood. So it is deadly. It is deadly. Such diet, carbohydrates based diet, is deadly. You have to think about this. Okay. Okay, this is I will continue it in next 2 videos. If you want to support me, go on. As I said, my goals, personal goals, almost achieved. If I will get enough pre-orders, then I will translate the book into English. Now it is Russian, because again, it is for me, even if I quite good in English and I read, this is my broken language, but yet it is more easy for me to write in Russian, and also I have many more Russian visitors, and they supported me. So, and as gratitude to their support, I make this book, and so people will get access to this draft version of the book with all the links to videos, presentations. So, and also if they support me enough, they're getting some my personal advice, and even if I am not a physician, this advice should be taken not, I'm not professional, but just maybe some idea, because what I share, my experience, my data, I don't recommend to do it, to follow me, because it's quite different from what mass media and official medical care propose. And again, I consider this as a part of this population decimation. What we will have in few years, a very sharp decrease in the population of the people. So I'm afraid that maybe the population will go very deep, because again, it is time. Actually, it is time. I explain in other videos why. Because why we're at the peak of our civilization. We will not go further. This is the peak. After the peak will be a sharp decrease. Maybe for certain we will lose many technologies, and we will go to the time of when people were using muscle force of animals and instead of electricity. And with such, with the loss of technologies, we just cannot keep high population which we have now. It may drop to 1 billion or even less, or even fewer people on this planet. But again, it depends on you. Do you want to survive this next 10 years and then to have to be healthy enough to continue and to live, and like I want to live 600 years, maybe 1000 years. But again, to live, it will be like in Bible. Patriarchs, biblical patriarchs are working. I mean, they had a very simple life. So you have to be prepared to be like them. So everything will go down with no technology, and it will be very hard to survive. But I moved to Thailand to be prepared for this. I was doing farming, and I love it. I personally, now I don't do farming because my circumstances and family situation is different now. But yet, I made it. I was producing food for myself and to sell. And so I used to have 10 hectares of land, farming land, and it was fun. It was fun, of course, to work, but also it helped me to understand why we should stop eating vegetables and fruits. Yeah, this because if I am in the farming business, I know how it works, how much chemicals are used to grow this food, and all these chemicals are toxic. They get into your body, and the only way to introduce some additional step between you and the food, and then if you grow chicken for eggs, I mean hens for eggs, then you can reduce number of toxins in the food, and especially if you do it all right, then you dramatically reduce number of toxins to your body. And then I was also growing mushrooms and growing fish, and this was time when I was feeling quite good, even without this knowledge about the stiffening of the extracellular matrix, and without this supplements to reduce stiffness and to make my arteries elastic. But again, now it works. My aorta, yeah, this again, your blood pressure depends on the aorta stiffness. I will tell it in another video, maybe in more details. But again, our aorta stiffness is increasing with age. This is why our blood pressure is coming up, especially blood pressure during the relaxation of the heart, this diastolic pressure. And I used to have like 120 to 80, and pulse was 60. It considered healthy because it is just an average. It is everybody have about such pressure, but with proper treatment, I reduced my blood pressure first. Well, maybe I went too much, like to 80 to 50. So systolic pressure was 80, diastolic pressure was 50, and pulse rate was 53, 55. I decided, okay, maybe it is too much. And then now it is 90 to 60, and even at physical stress, this diastolic pressure keeps about 60. So it indicates that elasticity of my aorta is good enough, because during when heart is relaxed, blood flows through the capillaries only by elasticity of the aorta, and elasticity aorta is good enough to take this blood from heart and slowly push it through the capillaries, and elasticity of the capillaries is good enough to have low friction inside. And then, of course, this is the first stage of rejuvenation. So first, to rejuvenate blood vessels, it is most easy way, I believe. Okay, I mean, if you do properly, it is more easy way. It is different for skin, because blood circulation in skin is slow. But again, I started this program not long ago. I started to use proper diet and proper supplements, maybe 10 months, even shorter than 10 months ago, and I see the result. And next I will take care about rejuvenation of my skin, because my outlook is not so good. Some people complain that, tell me that I look much older than 64. Sorry, Again, my life was not easy. My life was very stressful. I didn't sleep for years, longer than 4 hours a day with a lot of alcohol, because again, this was the only way to stop thinking and to have some rest at night. But just again, it is reversible. We are a colony of cells. We can replace all the damaged tissues, we can live forever in principle. If we will do everything okay, we are supposed to live forever. God created us to live forever in His image, and how God supposed to live forever, and we are supposed to live forever. Now it is a little bit problem, but we can at least count that to live 600, 900 years like biblical patriarchs. Just do it right. Do it right. And again, we are in such a stage that probably in 10 years the population will cut the number of people so much that, and these technologies will drop, that we will live life like biblical patriarchs. The same, like keeping some animals like sheep and growing fish, and do other activity like cows. And we will consume not carbohydrates, because carbohydrates shorten your life, but we will base our diet on protein, animal protein. It will be from milk, from eggs, from meat. And then we have ability to live much longer. So okay, this is my contribution. If you appreciate it, okay, you are free to join, to support me. If not, well, it's maybe not in the list of these people who will survive. It's not my problem. I just give you the idea what to do, and I will take care of people who support me. If people care about me, I will care about them. Yeah, because we have, in these difficult times, we have to unite. Good people have to unite, and they have to support each other. I do support for people, telling them what is right, what is wrong, and then it takes time. And if my time is not appreciated by some people, very well. Okay, it's not my fault. It is not my fault. Okay, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day. Ciao.